So, the Gumbarrel City Economic Development Corporation will meet in a regular board meeting in the Gumbarrel City Chambers, located at 1716 West Main Street, on Tuesday, September 11th, 2018 at 5 p.m. Call to order. Would everybody rise for the invocation, please? Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior, please bless this board with wisdom, patience, and the ability to recognize personal agendas and pettiness. They will need those qualities and your help to do what is best for our special little city. And Lord, please, on this anniversary of one of the most horrific events in this country's history, please bless all of our military and our first responders. In the name of our Lord, amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point in time, we will call for citizens' comments, if there are any. I haven't been notified of any. Oh, I'm sorry.
Got to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I'm failing in my abilities here. Roll call from my right, please.
Whitten here.
Butler here. Taylor here.
Right here.
Coleman here.
Wynn here.
Osborne here.
We have a full quorum. At this point, we call for citizens' presentations. I haven't been made aware of any. Is there anybody that would like to speak?
If I may, Mr. President, I'd like to make a statement.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitten.
Councilman Rankin read you a statement last City Council meeting about the rule of law, and I would like to say a few words in response to that statement. This is addressed to you and to the citizens and voters of our city. I mention citizens and voters because I intend these remarks not only to refute the accusations, but to offer a window into our city government and the real root of the continuing dysfunction. Councilman Rankin made not so implicit accusations that the EDC has not abided by the rule of law in the past, that we were somehow running wild and doing harm to the city, and that we reflected, and I quote, poor integrity and lack of good character. That is emphatically not the case. We have legal counsel to provide advice on legal issues that arise. Not to mention, we have conscience, and we work for the good of the city. One brief example, we built a bike path for the free use of our citizens, visitors, and their kids. The rule of law required ADA compliance. We spent a few $100s. We spent a few $100s on the bike path. We spent thousands on ADA compliance. We didn't complain. We didn't cut corners. That's the rule of law at work.
Mr. Whitten, I hate to interrupt you. My understanding is that comments from the board to the board are not subject to the same qualifications that a city council meeting would have for their citizens' comments. And in all fairness, if you dispute any of the comments that Mr. Whitten has to say, you're more than welcome to at the podium. But I'm going to allow him to finish.
The larger truth is that Councilman Rankin has weaponized the concept of the rule of law to obstruct our work here. She has been singularly uncooperative and unreceptive to our initiatives. Her idea of the rule of law is not to ask why or why not, but to seek legal technicalities to block legitimate progress for the city. But let's look at deeds instead of words. As EDC president in 2014, Councilman Rankin overspent legal fees by $11,000. The rule of law requires council approval of budget line item overages above $10,000. When two EDC board members asked her about getting council approval, she explained that that wasn't necessary because, and I quote, the payments had already been made and it was just an overage on that one line item. That is a tacit admission that she had already violated the legal requirement. And didn't intend, to use her own words, to ask for permission or forgiveness. So when the shoe was on the other foot, Councilman Rankin is not so emphatic about the rule of law as her statement suggests, and perhaps should be a little careful about accusing others of poor integrity and lack of good character. You can listen for yourself to the September 24th, 2014 EDC meeting about 3 minutes in. Unlike Councilman Rankin, I can offer you specifics. So in summary, the emperor has no clothes, and the not-so-veiled accusation is without merit. I am fully confident this board will continue to follow the rule of law as it has in the past. This will be my last meeting as a board member. My term is expiring, and it's time for me to focus on my own affairs for a while. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all you, the EDC board, for your generosity, courtesy, and consideration as colleagues. I believe every person on the board has demonstrated that you put the interest of the city before your own. It has been a pleasure working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wooden. Ms. Rankin, I'm going to revert back to citizens' presentations if you'd like to make one. I think fairness is fairness, and transparency is transparency.
The board members, my comments at the council meeting were directed to our new board members. They are brand new, they're not familiar with the laws, and that's who I was speaking to, and if you listen to the beginning of that comment, that's what I was saying. It was directed to the new members of the EDC board, the candidates that were running. And just to address your comment regarding the legal expenditure, we had to have a legal expenditure on a moment's notice so that we could get the cinemas closing done in time so that they could go ahead and begin their new renovation and take control of that cinema. So to your accusation, sir, it was very legitimate, and the board did come back and we all approved it.
I would think that would have qualified as a citizen's presentation. Mr. Whitten, you're speaking as a board member, so if you would like to say anything else, especially seeing the fact that this is your last meeting, if you'd like to say anything else, you're more than welcome to. It's not responding to a citizen presentation. It's just you.
Well, thank you. I've had my say. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
This, again, is not part of the citizens' presentations, but I as well have a statement to say. I'm with Mr. Whitten. I'm presiding over the last meeting that I will preside over, and I will no longer be a member of this board. I have something that I would like to say. I would like to thank each and every member of this board and Stephanie for their exemplary service to Gumbel City. In the last year or so, tremendous strides have been made in the terms of business in this city. They've faced many challenges and yet still have done what is best for Gumbel. I cannot let this opportunity pass without thanking Mr. Holland Whitten for his service to this board as treasurer. He has kept meticulous books during his tenure to the point that there has not been one question from the independent auditors. Unfortunately, he felt that he could not reapply given the antagonistic attitude of the current city council. The net result is a loss of a true advocate for our city. This is a shame. My tenure as a board member is over tonight. I will be sorry to not be able to be a part of this group, but I would encourage all to continue to fight the good fight. Unlike what seems to be happening on the city side, this board is operated without a dictatorship, and I would encourage you all to continue to operate as a 7 for all and not a 1/6. It served you well. In closing, I respect the talents of each and every one of you and wish you well in serving the business community and the community at large of Gun Barrel City. Thank you for letting me serve with you.
I have a comment, Rob.
Sure.
In response to Councilwoman Rankin and Mr. Whitten, I'm a new board member. I was appreciative of Councilwoman Rankin's...
Jan, I have to stop you. I'm sorry. But Councilwoman Rankin's comments were made under citizens' presentations. And a board member really cannot, it clearly states that they can't discuss, deliberate, or take actions on matters brought up in the citizens' comment. My letting Ms. Rankin speak was a courtesy to a city council person, but it does fall within the citizens' comment section.
I'm commenting regarding Mr. Whitten's statement.
You can comment about Mr. Whitten's statement. I would urge you not to comment about Ms. Rankin's statements.
Thank you. Regarding Mr. Whitten's statement, I, as a new board member, was not offended regarding the councilwoman's statement in the last City Hall meeting. I was appreciative of her statement and welcomed that as a new board member. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else on the board that would like to speak? At that point in time, I think we'll move on to item number 1, which is to discuss or take action to approve the EDC special meeting minutes of August 2nd, 2018, regular meeting minutes of August 14th, and special meeting minutes of August 23rd. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the EDC special meeting minutes of August 2nd, 2018, and the regular minutes of August 14th, 2018, and special meeting of August 23rd, 2018.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Osborne, is your microphone on?
Yes, sir, please.
Red button?
Yes, on.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want everybody here.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Vote from my right, please.
Whitten, yes.
Butler, yes. Taylor, yes.
Ray, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
I have unanimous on the meeting minutes of those 3 meetings. Item number 2, discussing or take action to approve the August 2018 EDC month-end financial reports. Mr. Whitten, evidently for the last time, I'm going to ask you if there's anything we need to be aware of.
Mr. President, we're 97% there on our income, so we'll probably be about 5% over by the end of the year. Our expenses have been less than income by a total of a little over $200K. I mean, the other way around. Our income has been more than our expenses by a little over $200K.
I have one question, Holland. Are we in the midst of a audit at this time?
We are.
Unfortunately, I'm going to catch the board off guard here, but I need to ask you a question. For transparency to the entire citizenry, there was a question brought up about our gift to the outgoing mayor. Have you heard anything from the auditor as to?
She asked about that expenditure, and I explained to her that it was a twofold purpose. One was, of course, to recognize our mayor for his service to the city, but the other was that we were courting Henry, the manufacturer of the rifle, to create a presence here in Gun Barrel City, and that this was part of that activity to create full for Henry.
I wanted the citizenry to be absolutely aware of what was happening. The EDC has been in contact with Henry Repeating Arms Incorporated for at least a couple of years, and we've been trying to get them to come to our city and create a manufacturing facility here. And we, as a board, voted to give the outgoing mayor a commemorative rifle from Henry Breeding Arms, and we actually received quite a discount on it. But that was brought up by the auditor, and I don't want any misconceptions about this whatsoever. The auditor said, what was this? We explained it, and so far the auditor has okayed it, for lack of a better term. And I don't want the citizens to think that anything that this board has done financially has been anything but above board. And our outgoing mayor probably deserved 40 rifles, but we gave him one, and it was from somebody that we were trying to court as a manufacturer. So we did list it as a marketing expense. I truly believe it was a marketing expense. Our treasurer, I believe, Mr. Whitten, you agree that it was a marketing expense?
I do.
And Henry Rifles and the auditor all agree it was a marketing expense. So given the comments we've heard earlier, I certainly don't want this seen as anything as untoward or anything that wasn't approved, with the utmost respect and the utmost respect for the money that the GBC, EDC is given by the citizens of the city. That being said, I need a motion to approve the August 18th EDC month-end financial reports.
I make a motion to approve the August 18th GBC EDC month-end financial reports.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Vote from my right, please.
Whitten, yes.
Butler, yes. Taylor, yes.
Ray, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Unanimous on the financial reports. Item number 3, City Secretary Janet Dillard is going to administer the oath of office and seat re-elected and newly elected EDC board members. Is Mr. Nicholson here tonight?
No.
I believe he's out of town.
Okay. I'm going to defer to Janet Dillard on this. Does that mean that that seat will just sit empty until he's available for oath of office? Okay. Okay.
Does the oath have to be at the next meeting, or can she just do it anytime when he shows up?
I don't know the answer to that.
At a meeting?
So we'll just assume that he's not going to be out of town at the next meeting, and you're going to have to stay late once again.
Charge him extra.
I would. But at this point, we have a reappointed board member in Ms. Jan Wynn, and we have a newly elected board member in Mr. Gary Damiano. So I would invite Ms. Dillard up to the center and administer their oaths. Congratulations to both of you and to Mr. Nicholson when he comes. At this point in time, Board Member Whitten and myself will vacate our seats, and the next item is to elect officers. And at this point, I'm going to leave the meeting in the hands of the Vice President, which is Mr. James Taylor. Distinguished.
Thank you. Nominations for president. Scott Coleman, I understand, has been nominated.
No.
No.
You have to.
No.
You have to have a nomination.
We're open for nomination.
I nominate Scott Coleman for president of EDC.
Second.
We have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Vote for my right, please.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman abstain.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Continue, sir.
Okay.
So first off, I'm new to this, right? I'm a business guy, not a typical, I should say, governmental person. So I guess I ask everyone for your patience and your guidance, not only today, but kind of going forward.
Is your mic on?
That would be the first thing. So I was asking for everybody's patience and guidance, and there's a great example of the guidance. So I guess what we have up next is the office of Vice President. Do I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Jim Taylor as Vice President.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
We are unanimous. Welcome back.
Honored to serve.
Honest to serve. Okay, next up is, I believe, the secretary position. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate Gary Damiano for secretary.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Last but certainly not least, we have the position of treasurer open. Do I have a nomination for treasurer?
I nominate Ms. Jan Wynn for treasurer.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, abstain.
Osborne, yes.
So we have a full board. That's great. Fully unanimous. I think next up, I believe we have a presentation we'd like to do before we go into executive session. Mr. I'm sorry?
Move over.
We got item 5 to do.
Still has your cooties in it, Rob. I don't know that I want to set in it.
Spray it.
Scott, we're going to do the item 5 down through 8.
How do we advance it to item 5?
Just go to item 5. We just did item 4.
I know, but I'm looking at the screen, looking for item 5. It has to go down.
Definitely.
Yes, but before we do that, now that we have the new board seated, we were going to do a presentation of for the outgoing board members. I think you were going to head that up, Jim. So I was just going to say, before we go through the rest of the agenda, if you could do the presentation you'd like.
Stephanie, would you take? Where's Stephanie?
Just so we can get a picture of you with the logo in the background. The two of you. Rob and Holland, you guys have just done an awesome job. Thank you from behalf of the new board. You guys have spent a ton of time on these topics, and there are always issues, but I know your hearts were always in the right place, and thank you for your dedication to the city. And Jim, thank you for pulling that together and making the presentations. We're going on to item number 5, discuss and take action to approve a facade improvement grant to W House Designs Incorporated for exterior of building improvements located at 432 South Gunbarrel Lane, not to exceed $5,000. Do I have a motion?
Let me just say this before I make that motion. The amount to not exceed is a typo. It should be $4,550.17.
That's right.
So I make a motion to for facade improvement grant, the W House for the building at 432 South Gunbarrel Lane, not to exceed $4,550.17.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Vote for my right.
No discussion?
Oh, certainly, if you would like a discussion.
Yeah, I just have a question. Is that your main address? That I didn't know which one it was. I looked at your letterhead and I saw that as the main address, and I thought,
There's
okay.
3 addresses that he has. The W House is not this address.
Okay, yeah, and the documentation is only 2. That's why I was asking the question. But that's not the current address for W House, is it? On the letterhead?
No, it's not.
Okay. That's all. That was actually the only question I had.
So, in fact, Jim, and this may be out of order, but do you want to give just a quick overview? Because the next 4 things we're doing is all regarding.
Yeah, this is
save time. If just
the most major project that we've seen in this town that David's put under. And tell me if I'm wrong. That Princess Design was 432. Okay, so David has purchased Princess Design, the old building there, along with all of the contents in that of one of the shops that will be going into that. Will be a boutique, will be a pillow shop, which will go along with his clientele. Then he's purchased a lot next to him, which I don't know what that address, but it's not in this program. And then his W House is another address, and then the red building is this one we'll be talking on items 6, 7, and 8. So this project is a multi-$100,000 expenditure for all of these buildings, which is facades, interior, repurposing them, everything to go along with the look of the W House. The people that spent all the money that are clearing the land across the way are putting a lot of money in their project. They have sat down with David Westerfield, and they're going to mimic similar looks to their project across the street, which will clean up that whole area amazingly.
One comment. This presentation package that you did, David, is, in my ear here anyway, the best that we have seen. I mean, it's very concise. It's got everything that we could want to see. And I doubt that we will ever see another one here done as well as this is, and we appreciate that. Makes it very easy. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so comprehensive, and then what he's done is to get the contractors to put all of this detail in there. If you go through it, you're going to get, your eyes will be bloodshot just reading it, of how much work that they put in it and he put into it. So anyway, we're at a point now, we've got a second, we've had our questions.
Well, any other questions or comments?
No, just a comment, David. I think W House is an amazing addition to this town. I do, and congratulations on moving forward.
And I'm sorry, I just got one other thing to add. I only say this because I was in the P&Z board. Just for 100% transparency, you all have seen what's going on at 198 across the street, where land's clearing. They're going to be doing something I think is going to be very, very nice. And I would say that's inspired by Mr. Westerfield's development. That portion of the city is looking up because of that, and appreciate all your efforts on that. Okay, so on item number 5, I have a motion and a second. Vote from my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
That is unanimous and passed. Item number 6, discuss and take action to approve a redevelopment grant to W House Design Incorporated for the expansion of W House Decor and More, located at 432 South Gunbarrel Lane, not to exceed $25,000. And before we take motions on this and have any discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the City Council will have to approve this after we approve it. So just so that you're aware, Mr. Westerfield, any these 2 items that are for $25,000, while we can vote yea or nay, that has to be approved by the City Council before it will take effect. So anyone discussion? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve a redevelopment grant to W House Designs for the expansion of W House Decor and More located at 432 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $25,000.
Second.
I have a first and a second.
Yeah,
Am I right?
I have one question. I'm new. I do not know what this program is. So if somebody, just like they did with the facade program, could explain the program, an overview.
This program is being used currently in Terrell and Forney, and what they're doing is for the repurposing, redevelopment of a building's interior, so that you could take a existing structure and redo the inside. The bids that David has for these things are well over $200,000-$300,000 on each one of these deals, so it's repurposing that building. The red building, which we'll come to in 2 items, is going to be a high dining event, and if you've looked at the building, it needs extensive work to get it fixed up. So we went to a EDC East Texas meeting back in February, and I found these grants from those towns, and they've been using them extensively there for taking old buildings and redoing them. This is not something for a new construction.
Yeah. So, that's a good point, Jim. So we went to a meeting where other EDC people were. One thing that Jim pulled out of that was when you've got a dilapidated, rundown building, whatever, they're trying to encourage local businesses to take them, grow them, develop them. And this is a way of seed money to help support them in those efforts. A good example is that red building that's Pappy's Pool House or whatever it was before. Taking something like that and turning it into an upscale restaurant is remarkable kind of work.
And we did the same thing with the strip center in front of Lowe's.
Right.
Good point.
Oh, did you really? Okay. So the program itself has been approved by the City Council. All that City Council needs to approve is
It's item by
this
item.
one.
Item by item, they have to approve.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I have a motion and a second. If you want to vote for my right?
I actually have something.
I'm sorry? Yes.
Can we re-verify the address on this?
Right.
Yeah, it's 432 South Gun Barrel Lane.
456.
Mr. Westfield, is that correct? Okay. I understand.
Grants, 456.
Yeah, if you're looking at your screen, you're looking at items 7 and 6. We haven't gotten there yet. That's the Pappy's building,
Gotcha.
or the Poppies, or the pool hall, or whatever.
Yeah, we're back on item number 5.
We're on number 6 right now.
Or 6. No, we're on 5. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
No,
Can you get this? I don't have the agenda in front of me.
We're on 6.
We approved the facade agreement, and I thought we were voting
Figured as
on.
much, but we have to be clear
That is
about
correct.
which ones they are.
That's where, yeah.
Well, the problem is that the screen's different than the paper in front of us. And
Correct.
I'm going off the paper in front of us, not the screen.
Oh, I see.
Want to make sure that everybody in the gallery understood
Yeah,
as well.
okay, but item 6 was the 432, $25,000. On this screen here, it's item 7, but it's not what's on our printed paper. So I'm reading off the printed paper and not off the screen, and that would be confusing.
Sounds good.
So we approved the facade improvement. We were taking a motion. Which item are we on now? Because I don't have.
Item 6
Item 6 on the paper,
on the paper,
432 South.
board packet.
Thank you. So, on item number 6, and just to reiterate so that we're clear, discuss and take action to approve a redevelopment grant to W House Designs Incorporated for the expansion of W House Decor and More located at 432 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $25,000. Just so we can start clean, can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve a redevelopment grant for W House at the expansion of W House Decor and More located at 432 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $25,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Item number 7, discuss or take action to approve a facade improvement grant to W House Designs for exterior of building improvements located at 456 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $5,000. Anything you'd like to say, Jim?
I make a motion to approve a facade grant program for W House Designs for 456 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
Any questions? Discussion? Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Item number 8, discuss or take action to approve a redevelopment grant to W House Designs Incorporated for the expansion of W House Decor and More located at 456 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $25,000.
I make a motion that we approve a redevelopment grant to W House for 456 South Gun Barrel Lane, not to exceed $25,000.
Second.
Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
Next, we will be convening into executive closed session. The Gun Barrel City EDC will now hold an closed executive session meeting pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in Texas Government Code 551.074, personal matters. And given the transitionary nature, Mr. Ray and Mr. Holland, would you mind joining us for this executive session? Okay, well, it was my understanding that we checked with the city lawyer and they confirmed that it was. In fact, I was having a discussion with Mr. Wyrick earlier and I thought we could invite people back into executive session. Mr. Ray, it was my understanding that you received a text from the lawyer that said that we could?
My understanding from Blake Armstrong, the city attorney, is that you can invite anybody back to executive session that has material knowledge of the subject matter to which you're convening in executive session.
Okay.
I also, by the way, have the attorney's instruction that I personally can share with the board documentation that concerns this matter.
Okay.
Back to what you talked about earlier, it's a little off for what you was asking for. What it is, it's set up in y'all's bylaws that a city councilman, which has to go from the city to appoint a person, one of the council people, to be a liaison to the EDC board. And that's the only way that one of those councilmen could go back. We'd be appointed as a whole council would appoint one person to be y'all's liaison, that we could go back with y'all's meetings and stuff like this here. But a one-on-one, we can't, I guess we misunderstood, we miscommunicated what we was talking about there, is a one-on-one we can't.
Okay. Well, my understanding.
With all due respect, I have the city attorney's opinion that was texted to me today within 2 hours. I am not going back into executive session in the capacity of a city council member. I'm going back in the capacity as the ex-president of the EDC.
Okay. Well,
And for future reference, the EDC can invite anybody back to executive session as long as they have material facts that are contingent or coinciding with what is being discussed in executive session.
okay. So I'm going to.
As it sits.
Okay. So, Mr. Ray, I'd ask you when we go back, as we come back, if you could show me that text so I can read and confirm that the city lawyer has said that. And I would say this on transparency. I'll try to have our EDC lawyer, the city lawyer, tell us what the rules are going forward. And our point here is I'm going to be asking you all for a reset. The city council and the EDC needs to work hand in hand going forward. Okay? And quite frankly, anytime any one of you has something material to add to our discussions, if we're allowed to, we're going to be asking you back. We're going to be asking other citizens back. This is meant to be an inclusive kind of board versus an exclusive kind of board. So I'm going to go ahead. I'd like to see the text that you have, Mr. Ray, and then we're going to go back into executive session, and then we'll reconvene in a few minutes. Again, thank you, Mr. Westerfield, for what you've done. I'm sorry, Rob? And Holland. EDC will now reconvene into regular session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code to take any action necessary regarding the items discussed in executive session. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion that we elect the EDC president to represent the EDC board at the September 18th meeting in open session.
Second.
Before we go there, and this is a matter of 100% transparency, and I know we have two city council people in the audience right now. Again, we need to do a reset and get the city council and the EDC board working hand in hand together. And as part of that effort to make things 100% transparent, we've been made aware that a letter has come in to the city council, to the mayor, from Lee Peterson, a letter of appeal. It's the consensus of the new board that we would hope and expect the city council to uphold the prior board's decision to terminate Mr. Peterson. To the best of our knowledge, all claims are false, and the new board has expressed a lack of confidence in Mr. Peterson. So the old board terminated Mr. Peterson, and the new board has expressed a unified lack of confidence and would request that you confirm that his termination. Again, this gets back to we're trying to get to a reset here. And I'm hoping that all the city council people, persons, male and female, can say, you know what, we need to turn the page and move forward with an open, 100% transparent city council and EDC board. So we would just ask your support in this particular item. I also want to thank the board in kind of closing. We're all volunteers. There's over 200 years of business experience up here. What we're trying to do here is help our local businesses, attract new businesses, and to help, fund the city government and for its growth. So if both of you could just take back to the other council members, we're trying to be 100% transparent. I'll be the first to say I'm inexperienced in this. My fellow board members will correct me when they need to. I would ask you to correct me or let me know where I'm doing something wrong. This is meant to be for the citizens of Gunboro, and I just ask both the city council and the board for that direction. Anyone have anything else to add?
Move to adjourn.
Vote. We got to vote. Got to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got to vote. Vote for my right.
Damiano, yes.
Butler, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Coleman, yes.
Wynn, yes.
Osborne, yes.
And that's a great example of the upgrade. We are adjourned.
No, you can't do that.